Welcome back. My name is Ivica Cartello. You are watching React School for the Total Beginners, State Management. Redux Toolkit, it is the last version of Redux, is created by Facebook developers because of less work for developers. Here is example. Refresh. It is initial state, initial action, nothing. Now increment, and I must click to counter increment here to see type, action, chart, it is, or row, it is type counter increment. Action type is counter increment. And decrement, again, counter decrement. I must click on that and to see right counter decrement. Decrement, increment. I have history here, yeah? I can see what happened step by step in history. Type counter increment. But we didn't write in any places in our application, didn't write that type of action. Counter slice, name counter, and here is increment, decrement, increment by amount, and this slice, this create slice creator, we can call that, create action type. And it is a big difference in coding, in amount of coding for developers. We have only one page here, it's create slice, counter slice, only one page for that one features, one page about action and about reducer. Here, look at one application before. Look at here is created a Redux separate folder. Redux and action creator. Here is action creators. We must coding by hand action creators. Here in post or counter slice. Here is counter slice. There is we don't see action creator. Named action creator, because create slice from Redux toolkit create for us action creator. We have increment, decrement, increment by amount, but all that here is counter slice actions, but we don't see word action creators, and this is action. This is action. Action is object. Action is object with the two members, with two fields. One field is action type, and second is payload. Action type said what to do, and payload is payload is data. And here in slice, we always import create slice from Redux toolkit. We create initial state object. Here is the value 0, and after that object we have a counter slice object. It is counter about features. Counter is features, and we call that counter slice. And create slice, what imported before, create all for us, create action type, create action creator, and create action. Action type, action creator, action. Action creator create action type, and create concretely complete object action. Create action, create action creator, create action. And in that slice, we don't see concretely that words, reducer, action, action creator, but we see payload if we need, if it is, we see payload, we see counter. Not that we see, we must by our hand write that, and we must repeat a lot of time this simple example counter form, post form, and users, etc. Lot of time this simple examples, because all is said about Redux in that simple example. There is nothing more about Redux. Don't speak waiting for us connection from database, from outside, and but it is same thing. All about Redux is said. I talk here in that simple example, and we must, when you learn, and when I learn, I look at that code, thinking about that code, and create a lot of all that simple example again and again and again. You don't need type it, copy and look at it and thinking about it and try to understand. Of course, must a lot of read around about that in the best. Absolutely, we must read original documentation about this, but also other people through their blogs, and all that together inspire, generate in our head our thinking about all that. And counter slice, and every slice there is an import. Second is declare initial state, and the third is object create declare object equal it is equal function object counter slice equal function create slice, and that function create slice create all what we need for us, but we must write what we want. We know that this feature is about counter, and we call that counter. Initial state is always, every slice there is an initial state, because starting from 0 or starting after loading, nothing happened, and there is no we must have initial state, because there is no state when we start, and we must have initial state for when coming our action, that reducer have state and action, input to input state and action, initial state. If there is no initial state, reducer, there is only action. There is nothing on input of state. And the counter slice object equal function create slice. We named that feature counter, initial state here. We write fields for object and reducers. And reducers is here is this members reducers. We write inside curly brackets. We write we give name what would be happened when we click some button, for example, or other event. Here is click on the button, and what would happen when we click on the button? One button would be increment for 1 of state. State would be increase for 1. We write that increment columns arrow function, parameter of arrow function state, and in curly brackets in body of that arrow function state dot value plus equal 1. It means for 1 would be state would be great for 1. Every click great for 1, because it is known amount great for 1. We don't have here action. We have action. It don't mean that reducer received action, but we don't need right here parameter action. And when we look what we create now, we give name increment. We give that name to action, but we can say action future action object, but we also give name action creator. Action creator will create action object action. Action creator create action, and this name is the same. Increment is action, and increment is action creator. It is counter slice object or function create slice will create it, will create all that. And same is for decrement. It will be name for action and name for action creator. Also, we don't need write here action, because value payload is known. there is no payload. There is only what to do. There is only what to do. It is -1. Here is a +1, and it is always the same value, always the same payload, but it is in this order, in this expression: state value +1, state value -1. But here, increment by amount is different. We have state and action because we have action payload. Here is, and that payload we don't know. Here is a variable named payload. And what will be in payload, we don't know. Every user can type in that input box what he wants, or text box what he wants. And we have here state value plus action payload. Action payload, but here is always same, 1, -1, +1. There is no unknown about that. Increment amount. Here is export constant, increment, decrement, increment by. It is counter slice actions. It is counter slice actions. And here is counter slice, export counter slice reducer. But now go to counter component, counter.js. Counter.js, there is a user selector and use dispatch. A user selector, we create object, named it count. And in that object count will be value of state. State from a reducer will be state of reducer will be count. How? With this statement. Constant count declaration is use selector hook, and parameter is select count. This select count coming from counter slice. From counter slice. Here it is. It is state counter value. State counter value. State object. Counter is properties of that object, and value is properties of counter. It is state object, counter object, value object. State object, counter properties of state, value properties of counter. And this is import in component. We have we don't have import select because we have a user selector, and that user selector can go to post slice, we can say like that. User selector, and the user selector take select count. We don't have here import. We have import counter slice and select count. Here it is, and we have import all action, and we have import select count from counter slice, and the user selector take select count and the value, it is value of state, assign to variable count. It is variable count is this 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. It is state. Count constant. About dispatch I can speak later. And count is here is count, and we have that count here. HTML tag span, inside of that is count. Up is button decrement, and above is decrement button, below is increment button, and here between them is count, variable count. And button, when we click on button, here is dispatch decrement. And decrement, what is decrement? It is action creator. Action creator, and that decrement will create action. Action type, action, there is an action type, and action and payload. Payload will be 1, and it is default, and only that +1, plus or minus 1. But decrement here is action creator, and that action creator, there is all element, we give them all element for creation, for possibility of creation. Counter slice, here we give counter, it was first word for type, action type. After counter, action creator creates slash, and after slash go this word, increment or decrement, and increment by amount. Here we have 3 action type. We have, and it is action type: counter increment, counter decrement, and counter increment by amount. And payload, we don't need payload, because in this action type form payload +1, -1, only one, and not something other. But here action payload, because it is not one, but can be any number. Action payload. And increment by amount, decrement, increment, we must write state and action, and state is always original state. At first it is initial state, at first, after loading. And that state is always initial state. It is a state in Redux, and we have always original state, and that original state we plus or minus action payload, and this expression is not immutable. This expression is mutable. Here we change state. There is, we don't create copy of state and change that copy, what would be immutable, but we change directly that state. That original state we change +1. Here, that original state we give -1. And here, increment by amount, original state value, we plus action payload. It is a mutable kind of changes, and but we must state must change immutable, must change immutable kind, and this is possible for that we have less job, less coding, that and we write like this because of library IMER. There is a IMER library inside create slice, and that IMER library will correct, will from this expression will create all coding for immutable kind. It means we'll copy state and that copy original state, and that copy +1, -1, or plus action payload. It is counter slice. Here is post slice. Post slice again. Import create slice, and this is function from Redux toolkit. Some function. What we need, and what we need here import is, for date. But second is initial state. Here is initial state. It is to post, and object post slice created by function create slice, and again name posts. From that word, action creator will create action type. Posts and post. Posts, post added, posts reaction added, and post updated. All that action means that will immutable kind, that will change only that part of the component, or not all other on that component, only that part. And when we change something, we must create action for that. Action for that for that reaction added. It means that we'll change only reaction added. Here is 1, 2, 3. Nothing else changes. Only that change, reaction added. Because of that we have action, reaction added. Also now only will be changed this title, download, etc., but all other will come without changes. Reactions and user, we change user, it is here. But now when we click on reaction, only changes reaction. When we create a new post, all payload of post will go to post list. But here I want in this video, and maybe I repeat a lot of time, repeat how to learn this new Redux toolkit. There is a rule. You see, every slice there is a import create slice. There is a 3 parts: object initial state and object counter slice, post slice, etc. Counter slice, third parts, and of course down is export and export. Export actions, export here we need value, and export reducer, counter slice reducer, and counter slice actions. All that together give and create all what we need. But we need action. Action is object. For that we must have action creator, and it is in background without our typing. For us, action creator create slice. But we must give elements for that. We must write counter, it is features. We must create initial state. We must create reducers and increment, decrement, increment by amount, because we know what our application will do, what we need, what features we need, and we write that here. But we don't need write all about Redux, as we need that before version. More and more I like how I understand this pattern, this design, this architecture of this Redux. How I understand that coding, that creates slice, that slice by slice. I like it. I very like Redux, and at this moment state management in all application would I create now. I would use Redux. For my experience, I don't think about what will go to Redux, what will stay as a local state. Not thinking about, but all what I can, I will bring in Redux. All state I will give in Redux only for experiment, and it would be very high river of state in Redux, and that river go down on component, and from component there is a lot of dispatch what bring action to reducer. And that circle, I look at that circle of state, and that state management, this moment I don't see some big problem about that, and think that it is possible. Very good coding, and excellent coding, fast thinking after experience how many who want. But in programming, we must do some coding automatically. What we understand, but somebody must also and work. It is not enough to understand. Understanding not produce our article, our software, but we must we must fast typing and make that job of typing. Somebody must work that. Who? Developer. And that part we must work automatically when we understand what to do. All jobs must have understanding, and when we do that, it is fast working automatically. Work that part of coding and scripting, etc. It is two part of working: thinking and working. First thinking, and okay, I know, I go type it, and you type it. Thank you for watching this video. If you know somebody who needs that, if you like it, you can subscribe, and in your YouTube switch on possibility to receive notice about next video. Share this video, comment, and create engagement and create a community. Every engagement is a community, and I like work it with your comment, with your like, with your subscribe, or without, but I have bigger enthusiasm in creating coding when you like, when you comment, when you subscribe, when you're sharing, when you like it also. As all people, when something produced, like that somebody like it and use it. Thank you for watching this video.